Hey there Mountaineers, I'm Matterhorn Matt, and welcome to episode 7 of Historyland. First things first, I wanted to thank you all for 400 subscribers. Hopefully we can get to 500 soon, and stick around to the end of the video when I announce a special giveaway when we do reach 500. In this episode, we'll be talking about the controversial makeover that was Tomorrowland 1998. Let's get started. Now, back in the late 1990s, Disneyland's Tomorrowland was beginning to feel less and less like a land of futuristic technologies, and more like a land of yesterday, with technologies that people had already implemented in their homes, or technologies that weren't implemented at all. See, when Disneyland redesigned Tomorrowland in 1967, it was meant to convey the future as a world on the move, with new futuristic transportation methods like the People Mover, Utopia, the submarines, and the Skyway. And while all that sleek architecture and white paint was fitting for the late 60s, to people in the 90s, it definitely didn't age well. For one, with the 25 or so years that passed, most of the technology was badly outdated, and lots of attractions were closed. For example, the Carousel Theater had been closed since 1988, and Mission to Mars closed 4 years later in 1992. And without the aid of Walt, not much progress was made on the aging land during the years. But in 1984, Disney's new CEO had plans to revamp both Tomorrowlands on each coast.
Coming up next, learn about Disney history with Matterhorn Matt on Historyland.
In the sun, a friend by your side, feeling the magic, taking a ride, having a dream, moving your feet. I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going to Disneyland. Say love gets hurt to the magic word. I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going to Disneyland.
In 1984, Michael Eisner became the CEO of the Walt Disney Company, which brought in fresh minds for new attractions and lands in the Disney parks. Eisner and his team were working on fresh ideas for a Tomorrowland revamp and came up with Tomorrowland 2055. Set in 2055, this new Tomorrowland would be an alien spaceport with extraterrestrials stopping along their journey in space. Large crystals would be at the entrance of the park that were supposedly uncovered during the construction of the new Tomorrowland, and were beacons buried by ancient sentient beings that drew aliens toward the land. New bridges and escalators were constructed to give Tomorrowland a second floor. Classics like Space Mountain and Star Tours would still be operating, along with totally new attractions, like the Timekeeper, which would be similar to the Magic Kingdom version. The Carousel Theater would be redesigned to look like a landed alien spaceship, hosting Plek 2's Intergalactic Review, which would have been an audio animatronic show hosted by P.T. Quantum. Now, there were many concepts to repurpose the Carousel Theater, another being the animation machine that showed the history of Disney animation. Alright guys, I found this video after I finished writing the script of concept art for Tomorrowland 2055 in the Disneyland Gallery in 1997, so I'm going to play you guys a few clips from that.
Tomorrowland is slated for spring 1998.
The land would also be home to the controversial attraction Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter, which was originally supposed to debut at Disneyland's Tomorrowland before the Magic Kingdom version. This new Tomorrowland would also bring a new nighttime parade called Lightkeepers. This parade would replace the Main Street Electrical Parade, but would have featured alien spacecrafts and fireworks. All of this and more would have made up the new Tomorrowland 2055, bringing fresh ideas to the land. But financial trouble would put the new Tomorrowland in jeopardy, leading many to wonder what would happen to the aging land.
Up next, learn about Disney history and more with Matterhorn Matt on Historyland.
It's the Walt Disney Happy Easter Parade with Alan Thicke, Regis Philbin, The Muppets, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, and host Joan London. 1 week from today on ABC.
While Tomorrowland 2055 was in development, Disney's newest theme park, Euro Disneyland, now known as Disneyland Paris, was under construction. And Euro Disneyland would not have a Tomorrowland, but a Discoveryland. For those of you unfamiliar with Discoveryland, go check out my previous episode on Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter. And when Euro Disneyland opened, it was a financial disaster. This caused the cancellations of Westcott, Disney Sea, and sadly, Tomorrowland 2055. Imagineers were in a crunch to find a new, cost-friendly way to bring life to Tomorrowland, and what Tony Baxter and his team came up with borrowed a lot from Discoveryland in Paris with just a fraction of the budget.
Thanks, Minnie. Thanks, Mickey. Hey, and you know, today is one of the big days in Southern California.
And Disneyland reinvented itself today, and big parties have been going on all day to celebrate.
And you know what? Rocket Rods. This ride, Ron, is one of the big stars of the new Tomorrowland. And I, for one, am ready to rocket into the future.
And I am ready to scream into the future, Robert. Are you ready for that?
Anything you want, partner.
All right, we have a big show in store tonight. Hang on, here we go.
The land was repainted from its iconic whites to dark browns and copper. The People Mover replaced by the high-speed rocket rods, and the rocket jets were moved from the top of the People Mover station to the entry of the land, rethemed to a carbon copy of Discoveryland's Astro Orbiter. And the kinetic sculpture, the Observatron, now sat in the same place that the rocket jets once were.
And the Observatron, a colorful, highly kinetic sculpture representing the imaginative world of tomorrow.
Space Mountain was painted bronze with an oxidized copper color, and Innoventions replaced the iconic Carousel Theater.
In celebration of technology and man's ingenuity, Disneyland presents Innoventions, a dynamic, hands-on look at new scientific and technological developments that will enhance and improve our lives in the future.
On the ground floor, when guests first come in, they are presented with these 5 different areas, from transportation to the home, to sports, health and fitness, to entertainment, and to the workplace of the future. Innoventions now allows guests to come in and experience the future firsthand.
This 2-story attraction offers shows, exhibits, and interactive stations for you and your family to try out the latest in computer technology.
After the guests have worked their way around the ground floor of the Innoventions building, they can step off onto the ring at any point and join one of the live shows that will be taking place, or they can continue meandering their way through the exhibits until they come to the bottom of the treehouse of technology. This is the icon for the whole exhibit, and the tree itself branches into every one of the 6 participant exhibit spaces on the upstairs. And those exhibits tie into the stories that are set up on the ground floor in a very hands-on and interactive manner.
The bottom floor became the Dream Home, which was an updated version of the House of the Future that gave guests a peek into what kind of technologies houses in the future would be using. The bottom floor was also hosted by an audio animatronic named Tom Morrow, who is the fictional mayor of Tomorrowland.
My name is Tom Morrow, and this is Tomorrowland.
And across from Innoventions, Captain EO was replaced by Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. But bad reception from the guests put the future of the land in question.
Coming up next, Learn about Disney history with Matterhorn Matt on Historyland.
There's a land of happy memories that's 25 years new. So come on and bring your family, 'cause you're our family too.
Everyone's joining the 25th birthday family reunion at Disneyland this holiday, including Janet Dean, Papa Do Run Run, Buddy Rich, and the Buddy Rich Band, March 29th through April 5th, 9 a.m. till midnight.
Join hands at Disneyland and join the Jubilee, and we'll be one big happy family.
When the newly themed Tomorrowland opened in 1998, it didn't get very good reviews from the park guests. So, what happened? While meant to be a retheme to resemble Discoveryland in Disneyland Paris, the Anaheim version had a very small budget to work with, and it definitely showed. While the new attraction Rocket Rods was a mechanical nightmare, other areas of the park only received a minor paint job. While Discoveryland in Paris is a sight to behold, it's the style of the architecture that makes it work. While in Disneyland, the buildings were basically untouched, and the bronze colors clashed with the obvious 1970s style buildings. The new Astro Orbiter that was placed at the entrance of Tomorrowland had clogged up traffic, making the whole area a bottleneck for guests to navigate. With the closing of the beloved People Mover and the Submarine Voyage, the only new attractions added were the Rocket Rods, Innoventions, which is now a Star Wars exhibit, and Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, which is also replaced by a Star Wars sizzle reel. All of this combined created the mess that was Tomorrowland 1998. But hope for the new Tomorrowland came when former Cedar Fair CEO Matt Wimett became president of the Disneyland Resort and sought ways to restore Tomorrowland to its roots. He had Space Mountain repainted to its iconic white, while also closing the ride for a 2-year renovation, and opening Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters in the vacant Circle Vision Theater, and also reopening the Submarine Voyage. And hopefully down the line, we'll get to see an all-new Tomorrowland for Disneyland, one that Walt will be proud of. And that's the history of Tomorrowland 1998. I hope you all enjoyed this week's video because I find all of the drama regarding Tomorrowland super interesting since it's my favorite land. But if you guys enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and share with all your Disney-loving friends. I'm also thinking about opening a shop where you guys can buy Matterhorn Matt themed merch, like shirts, cups, and whatever else you guys want. So I'm posting a poll on this video and on my Twitter, @MatterhornMatt, regarding what kind of designs for merch you guys like. And as for the 500 subscriber giveaway, I'll be giving away Matterhorn Matt themed shirts to 3 lucky subscribers once we hit 500. All you have to do to enter is to be subscribed to my channel, like the video, and comment on this video what kind of Tomorrowland you'd like to see in Walt Disney's original Magic Kingdom. The giveaway starts today, the 22nd, and ends when we reach 500 subs. The winner will be announced on the following Historyland after we hit 500. Make sure you guys are following me on Twitter because I'm going to be posting a lot of updates regarding this. Check the links in the description to support me on Patreon and to listen to the latest episode of Matterhorn Mondays with Alex the Historian, where we talk about Disneyland preservation.
Well, there's a great argument amongst Disneyland fans as to how much change is good versus bad. And, and so how much should we preserve Disneyland? And honestly, there is no right or wrong answer necessarily. It depends on how much each person thinks. And quite frankly, I get a lot of people on my channel who comment and they, the way that it sounds, they would have really preserved Disneyland a lot more than it is preserved today. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, people don't realize that things that worked in the past would not necessarily work today in the present. Mm-hmm. And Disneyland, as you know, everybody knows, is something that's supposed to be evolving and changing and being plus. And there's the overused quote that Walt said that, Disneyland is never completed.
I'll see you all next time. Have a great big beautiful tomorrow.